ago, he says, he had less than $1,000 in his bank account. And I think last year, what was it? He made something like $300,000 in passive income, through a number of different things, different income streams. But, and I know when you put yourself out there on the internet, in public, whatever it is, in a way that Johnny does, you're inviting the criticism of the world too. So I just really want to recognize Johnny for sharing his story so openly and sometimes being pretty vulnerable and letting us watch the transformations he's made. I think that's pretty cool. And guys, let's welcome Johnny FD, the founder of Nomad Summit.
Thank you, Cody. I appreciate it, buddy. Whew. Thank you, guys. Oh, I love you too, buddy. Seriously, all of you guys have become like family here. So I appreciate you guys coming out. So, hey everyone, my name is Johnny FD. And if you've never actually read my About Me page or anything, my name is actually Johnny Jen. But my whole life growing up, I never really identified with that name. I think I used to hate it because my teachers in school would always call me, when they do roll call, they're like Jubril, Russell, Bob, Jen. Is there Jen, Jennifer, Jenny, anyone? And I think I was always very insecure for many reasons. I grew up as a fat kid. I didn't really have that many friends growing up. I didn't really know who I was. My parents grew up really poor, so I just felt like I was left out. I felt like everything was against me, So just as people do online, you always have like screen names and nicknames, and I've been through so many. I have a post on my blog, johnnyft.com, that says, who is the real Johnny FD? And I list every single name from when I used to go raving, my name was Caffeine, to when I had my first MySpace and I called myself something Halo or I don't know, something stupid, all right, all these things. And there's some that I'm more proud of than others, but all of it was a learning experience and all of it was a journey. So the way that the FD came about was when I wrote my first book called 12 Weeks in Thailand, The Good Life on the Cheap. And at that time, I thought I had found the best life. This was it. After all those years of hard work and searching, what do I really want? I thought I found it. And I was teaching scuba diving. I was a dive master. I was fighting Muay Thai. I had 6 professional fights here in Thailand. And I came out with this book, and I started making money online through Amazon Kindle. And I make anywhere between $200 to $600 a month. And I was like, yeah, I got it. I can retire now. I just need to consistently make $600 a month, which is about 20,000 baht, and I can retire. Because I know that's what the pension is for a lot of people that retire in Thailand. The problem was I couldn't consistently make $600. Some months it was $200 or so, and as cheap as I was, I couldn't live off of that, even in Thailand, even in Chiang Mai. So I had to figure out other ways and leveling up. So that being said, those were some of the happiest times of my life. And I think that if then somebody, said to me, Johnny, your life sucks, you're broke, you're a loser, I would have taken it so personally that I might have just given up and I wouldn't be here where I am today. So what I want to really instill with everyone is no matter what stage you are in your digital nomad or even in your life journey, as long as you're happy and that is authentically you and what you want to do at that moment, fuck everyone else. And I... Okay, that's it, guys. Thanks for coming. But even if I just left you with that and you just took that, and as long as you are being authentic, you're not hurting other people, you're just trying to be the best version of yourself, and you enjoy what you're doing, good. Enjoy the crap out of it. All right? Not everyone here needs to try to build a multi-million-dollar business this year or next year, even ever. Some of you guys will genuinely be happy making just enough to be able to keep traveling wherever you guys want. Some of you guys would be happy, at whatever stage you guys are for the rest of your life. But who I really want to talk to is either the people that are currently not happy where they are, and they just want more, or it ends up kind of eating them up inside. Sometimes that even becomes anger or hate. And I think that's actually where a lot of the hate comes from in the digital nomad community, especially online, where people are anonymous behind a screen, and they're just eating Cheetos and just like, fuck these guys. And it's because they secretly want to level up. They secretly do not have their needs met. And instead of them going out, like you guys have, coming out here, watching these videos, and wanting to better yourself, doing whatever it takes, working hard, putting in the hours, investing in yourselves, and getting to that next level, some people just stay where they are, and they're just like, all right, let's just drag other people down. That'll work. But I think our goal as digital nomads really should be not only to live our own lives as authentically as possible and be the best versions of ourselves and really genuinely, truly be happy, but also to be able to share that gift with whoever wants to follow. I don't think we should force it down people's throats, but if they want to follow, we should be able to leave breadcrumbs or maybe a ladder for the crabs to crawl out of the barrel themselves. So today's talk is called Leveling Up, and it's based off of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I call it the digital nomad's hierarchy of needs. So who is Maslow? So you guys recognize this face or his theories? Maslow's hierarchy of needs is based off of his paper, A Theory of Human Motivation. Right? Abraham Maslow, 1943. And his pyramid looks something kind of like this, right? Where the reason why he has a base on the bottom with your physiological needs on the bottom is because without these core human needs, it doesn't matter if you have any of the higher level needs. If you don't know where your next breath of air is going to come from, you don't know when you're going to have your next meal, you haven't drank water in 7 days, you don't give a crap about higher level needs when your basic needs have not been met. And next we have our safety needs, which is more like security needs. All right, so with the bottom base layer, that means you just need a place to sleep. You don't even care where. But if anyone's ever stayed up for more than 24 hours, it's crazy. I mean, you literally go crazy. But with their safety needs or security needs, that's when you have an actual home that that you like, that you can decorate, that it's secure, your rent's paid, that you're not gonna get kicked out and be homeless tomorrow. That's when you have either health insurance, or you can have enough money where if you needed to go to the hospital because something happened, you could take care of yourself. You're not really gonna die. You're not in any actual danger. But once you've settled that and you're taking care of yourself, okay, that's usually when you want more in life. And more could be deep friendships, it can be love, it can be long-term relationships, it could be starting a family. And once you have that, sometimes you might still not be happy. I'm sure everyone here knows someone who's married at home, they have a house, they have a spouse, they have kids, they have a stable job, but they're not happy. And usually at that point, that's because you need something else. You need esteem needs. And there's two parts of esteem needs. There's your lower level where you maybe need some compliments. That's why you feel like sometimes you need to go shopping and get that new outfit so people can give you that compliment, or a new pair of shoes, or a new phone, or whatever it is. And then you have the kind of higher level esteem needs where you want to have that self-confidence and self-esteem where regardless of everything else, you're okay. And only once you get there can you get to the highest level, which is self-actualization, which is you're living to your fullest potential. And these are kind of the numbers that, at least for me here in Thailand, where I know it's a lot cheaper than Europe or the US, this is kind of what I needed to meet these basic needs. I was living off of, $600, $1,000 for a long time, and I was fine, but then I wanted a little bit more for that need, and this and this and this. And I'll go over all of this in detail, but at some point, you gotta, wherever you guys are, you're gonna want to level up. So let's first start with the base layer, right? For me, this was a photo of me, I think in maybe 2012 or something, 2011. I was training Muay Thai, and this is after my third or fourth fight. And I don't know if you guys can see, but my nose is broken. I'm like bleeding. My teeth felt like they were gonna fall out because I got elbowed like 4 times. And I was living in this little bamboo hut that I was living at the gym. I think that one I might have been paying like $100 a month for or something. I definitely had no, luxuries. I barely even had electricity. I actually had a long extension cord just running from the next building, just so I can have a light bulb hanging from the top. I didn't have a bed. I just had like a little mattress on the ground. But I was happy. I was so fucking happy. And it was the same when I was teaching scuba diving, and I was working as a dive master. I wasn't making very much money, but I got to either live for free at resorts. And when I say at a resort, I don't mean in like the nice resort rooms. If anyone's ever worked for a cruise ship or a resort, you're staying in the staff accommodations, which are pretty crappy. But I was so happy because I had the freedom of time to do what I loved. I got to wake up every morning and go scuba diving. I got to teach scuba diving, which I love teaching, and I kind of realized that's something I just enjoy doing. I got to train Muay Thai, and I got to, compete. I got to do all these things that I love doing that I would have happily paid to do, but I was getting paid, $600 a month or something to do it. And I was like, perfect. I'm 100% happy. And if this is what you guys secretly want, and you don't really care about all the money in the, flying business class or whatever, and you're like, I just want to fucking scuba dive all day, or I want to do whatever hobby you have all day, just do that. Do that for a year. Do that for 2 years. You can always come back and level up your business later. So even though it's easy to look back and be like, oh, I was such a fucking loser. I was 28 and I was making $600 a month, which is what? Like per year? It's like $6,000 a year. But I was happy. But I realized I wasn't going to be happy forever. And the way I knew that was I met a guy named, I don't know, Dave or something. Actually, I met many guys like Dave. And they were the old guy at the dive resort. They were usually in their 50s or so. Some of them were married. Some of them, whatever. But they were always complaining. They were always grumpy. They were always just hating life. And I was this young, kid. Old kid, but I was a young kid at heart. And I was like, why are you so fucking grumpy? We gotta wake up, wear board shorts, and eat free food, and go scuba diving all day. Like, what the fuck are you complaining about? And I realized I never wanted to become this guy. I never, ever wanted to hate scuba diving. I never wanted to hate my life. I never wanted to feel stuck. I never wanted to be that troll on the internet just telling everyone else they suck, because secretly, deep down inside, I knew my life sucked. So I needed more. I wanted more. And that's when I realized my safety needs were not being met. I needed security. Not only was it, it was good enough, I guess, to know I had a place to sleep every night where I wouldn't get murdered. But it wasn't nice sharing a room with a 50-year-old British guy that complained about everything every day. I don't know why they're always from England as well. And I wanted financial stability, knowing that I can take care of myself if something happened. I wanted to be able to have either enough money to go to the hospital if something bad happened, or have some health insurance or something. I just needed more. I needed some kind of financial stability. And that's when I started my first online business, which was in drop shipping. As a lot of you guys know, because I talk about it a lot, and I still believe that even though there's so many other ways to make money online, it was the best way for me to start. You know, it might not be the best way for all of you, but it was definitely the best way for me to start. I wanted to sell a physical item that I can wrap my head around, and I knew if I shipped someone this, this podium or this table, and they got it, they would be happy. And I knew that this was worth, whatever the MSRP was, $399. I knew that $80 to ship this was a very reasonable amount of money. And I was just happy selling stuff. And I was happy to be able to sell it without any inventory, without having to buy product up front. I was happy to not have to deal with the warehouse and all these things. And with all the other speakers, a lot of them actually started with the same thing because it was just an easy way to get in. And then later on, you could choose if you want to scale that up or if you want to get into something else. So I was very, very happy when I started making $2,000 or $3,000 a month consistently running this e-commerce store. For the first time in my life, I was actually in great shape too because I didn't really have that many other responsibilities. I was single. I would work from 9 to 4 every day at the co-working space at Pun Space. Then I would go to CrossFit. And that was my life. I had no one to answer to. I had no responsibilities. And I loved it. And I was in the best shape ever. But then I realized I wanted more. I needed more. Something inside of me wasn't fulfilled. And I realized I needed love and belonging and friendships and a long-term relationship. I wanted to be able to maybe eventually start a family or at least have the option to. Part of it in just being able to find someone and know that we could start a family together if it ended up working. And unfortunately, it didn't end up working with us. But now, at this point, I knew I'm not going to be a guy trying to live off of $2,000 a month, trying to raise a family with kids. Anyone here have kids? It's expensive, right? All right? $2,000's not going to cut it. So I knew I needed to make more money. So I started a second dropshipping store. I started monetizing my blog and my podcast and all these other things. And I realized now I'm ready. Now I'm ready to actually have a real relationship. In retrospect, maybe people, your partner doesn't care as much, or a great partner maybe won't care that much about money. But I think just as a man, I just felt the responsibility to earn enough money where if we were to have kids, that we wouldn't stress about that. We would be able to, live where we wanted. We'd be able to travel to South Africa to meet her parents. We'd be able to, do things that a normal, healthy couple should be able to do. And aside from the relationships, I also wanted deeper connections with my friends who are always traveling. One of the best and worst things about being a digital nomad is your friends are always traveling to cool places. You see them on Facebook, and they're posting pictures of them in Budapest or in Spain or in South America, and you're like, that's cool, but we haven't seen each other in 8 months. And even though someone's your best friend or someone you can see yourself being best friends with, they're halfway around the world, and you realize, okay, I can't go there because I don't have enough money to go there if you're making $2,000 a month and you want to fly to Europe and spend the summer there. So this was such a vital part of my life where I needed to level up and have enough money where I can spend time with my best friend and go to Europe with them and spend the summer. I needed to be able to travel and be able to afford to maybe one day start a family. I wanted to have that option. And what's actually really cool on this, as a side note, is a lot of these connections that you're going to make here in person at the Nomad Summit, but in Chiang Mai in general, and just in your travels in general, those people that you meet that are flying to these cool places, they're probably pretty successful because they can afford to do it, and they have the freedom to do it. And those are probably people you should spend a lot of time with. So at that point, that was pretty fulfilled. I'm like, okay, if things work out, maybe I'll move to South Africa, or we can move back to the US or whatever it is. I have my friends that I've been able to, go meet up in Portugal, or I got to meet up some friends back in the US. I went to Hawaii, and did all those cool things, and I was able to really maintain these friendships. But I knew something else was missing. I felt like, man, I feel like I'm finally successful, but I don't really feel like, I'm getting enough. There's something that's missing. And part of it was just my esteem needs. And part of it is shallow. Part of it is wanting, the lower level esteem needs met, where you want to get recognized by your peers, or in business, you want to win an award, or you want to get featured somewhere. And I did it. I got written about in Business Insider. I got written about in Entrepreneur. And actually yesterday, someone just wrote a piece about me in Huffington Post. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I felt so good, And I was making enough money where I was like, this is awesome. This is the life. But I didn't realize that none of this really mattered that much. And I know you guys kind of hear this often. And you're like, well, what am I working so hard towards if you're not going to be that happy once you get there? And I realized it's for the next step. It's not for this step. So once you're here and you're making, $100,000 a year, and you're getting all this recognition, all this esteem, people coming up to you and saying, high five, can I take a selfie with you? Enjoy that 15 minutes of fame. Try not to be, too douchey about it. Sorry if I was a little bit. But, just, try to just enjoy it and say, like, you know what, pat yourself on the back. I earned it. I worked hard, got to that point. Very cool. What's next? Because what's next is really what I wanted to share with you guys. Everything else before this was just the journey to get there. And what's next, you might think, is self-actualization, where you are fulfilling your goals and your destiny to the highest point. But it's actually something else, something that Maslow added after. It's transcendence, helping others achieve success. So this is where I'm currently trying to figure out what this means and how to do that. I know that I'm actually still in the very beginning stages of this, where even though the money might be there, and the reason why there's a question mark is because I don't actually know like what the number even is, or if it even matters. I know that I need to have at least the lower level needs met before I can even attempt this, because it's hard to really help others in a big way if you're worrying about how to pay rent, or you can't afford to eat, or you're stressed about money all the time. But once you have extra money, you can do really powerful things with it. And I know there's great ways to volunteer your time and do these nice meaningful things without money. So I volunteer from time to time and do things that don't cost any money. But I really believe that it takes extra money to be able to really make a big difference. Elon Musk would never have been able to create Tesla or his new battery technology and try to really make a difference if he was broke, if he was just worried about making money. And I know not all of us are going to be like Elon, and I don't even know if I want to work that hard, to be honest. But it does take some cash. So here I am trying to figure out, okay, I make all this money now. I'm in way worse shape than I was when I was making $3,000. I don't know if any of you guys can tell. I'm not. And I'm not in a long-term relationship right now. And I don't really know really what to do. And I'm definitely not as happy as I was when I was carefree and I got to scuba dive every day and just enjoy the crap out of life and not have any responsibilities. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I even doing this? And then my mom called me, just out of the blue, and I'm like, hey, Mom, how you doing? She's like, oh, I'm okay. I just got back from the doctor's. And I was like, what? Why'd you go see a doctor? And she's like, oh, it's nothing. I just had to get a shot in my leg. And I was like, for what? What happened? And she's like, oh, it's nothing. And I couldn't really tell because I don't know if any of you guys have parents that don't really like to openly communicate, especially emotions and bad things with you. A lot of times they still think we're little kids, even though we might be, in our 30s or some people even older. I'm sure some of your parents still treat you like a little kid. Actually, I'm curious. Does any of your parents still treat you as a little kid? And she's like, oh yeah, there's nothing. I just need to get these shots in my foot. And because I've been standing, it hurts when I stand when I'm working. And my mom was about 65 at the time. I know she looks pretty young. And my dad too, but they dyed their hair, so that's the secret. And I said to my mom, I said, I don't think the shots do anything. Like I don't, I didn't know exactly what the problem was, but I was like, I don't think the solution is getting a shot so you can stand and not have pain. I think the solution is not fucking standing around on your feet all day for 8 hours a day working at a sushi restaurant. And she's 65 at the time, and this was about 2 years ago. And I said, Mom, why are you doing this? And she says, I was like, why don't you just retire? Because their house is finally paid off, and even though they live in San Francisco, I know they're pretty frugal, so I don't think they spend that much money. And she said, oh no, it's just for some extra side money. But then instantly I realized, fuck, I need to do something about this. So I just said, I wasn't thinking about it too much, to be honest. It wasn't like this big epiphany. I was like, oh, Mom, just quit your job. I'll just pay for whatever you were making. And I hear silence. I hear her drop the phone. And I'm like, Mom, did you drop the phone? Hello, Verizon? But then I hear her crying in the background, and I'm like, what is happening? And I honestly didn't even connect the two things. It wasn't until my dad picked up and answered the phone, and I can hear his emotion. And my dad is a very stoic guy. He never, ever shows emotion. I mean, growing up for the first 28 years of my life, I never heard him say, I love you. It wasn't until I forced him to one day after writing him a letter while I was on this 10-day silent meditation retreat, and I knew that's something I needed to heal. So I definitely recommend you guys take the time to do something like that. But it wasn't until that my dad picked up, and I heard his voice, and I heard my mom just sobbing in the background, that I realized, oh fuck, I just retired my mom. And at the time, when I said it, I was just like, oh, you probably make like $1,000 a month. You work part-time as a waitress. But then I realized it wasn't that I was sending her $1,000, because that wasn't a big deal, because I had a really good month. I was making like 20 grand that month. But I realized I can't just send her money once and have her go back to work next month. This is for the rest of her life. And I hope my mom lives for a long time. So this could be 35 years or more. And I was like, fuck. What did I get myself into? What the fuck did I commit to? And as soon as, I think it really clicked in when I was in my bank's online checking. I said, okay, set up a monthly reoccurring deposit. And I put $1,000 to my mom, and I put in the notes, the little memo box on the bottom of checks. She still uses checks, so they actually physically send her a paper check every month. And I was like, okay, what is this for? And I wrote, because I love you. And every single month, she gets a reminder that her son loves her, and that she knows that she never has to go back to work ever again. And that was the higher purpose and the real reason why I've worked so hard to get my income up. And I stopped being selfish, and I stopped working just for myself, and I stopped just doing the bare minimum possible and just enjoying my own life. And I started doing it for someone else, for someone who really truly mattered. And I know, some of you guys, aren't, as close to your parents, but I bet you there's something out there or someone out there, whether it's a cause, whether it's, rescuing animals or wildlife, or it's helping, your brother or sister or family member or friend or whatever it is. I'm 100% confident that there's something out there that you wish, deep down inside, it'd be nice if you can do more. And I think that is the point of being at this spot, and going through these levels and trying to get somewhere higher. I realized I don't really care that much about e-commerce or dropshipping. I know it sounds weird for me, right? I like what it taught me. It taught me the basics of building an online store, of marketing, of running ads, taking payments, customer service, all these things. And I like the fact that it's given me kind of leverage to build something else that I enjoy doing and then doing something else. And I realized that at this point, I think what I really am good at is stuff like this, getting smart people together, successful people together. I'm great at, and that's what I love. I love meeting people. I love interviewing them on the Travel Like a Boss podcast. I have a new investment podcast where me and my buddy Sam Marks are going from basically zero knowledge of investing and just asking stupid questions, which to us aren't stupid. They're just, kind of very newbie basic questions to these big experts. And I love networking. I love meeting genuine people that are successful and picking their brains and asking them, what makes you successful? How do you do it? What are the tools? What were your struggles? What do you recommend? How do you get started? I love doing that. I love getting people together. I love inspiring people. I love this. I love you. I love every one of you guys for showing up, for being here. And it's no longer about me. It's no longer about self-actualization. It's about transcendence. About giving back to others and helping inspire them and allowing them the same chance that you had. And the real reason why I share everything I do, and not just today, but I've been doing this for the last, 15, 20, 50 million years. Since I had a computer, I was the one that would post on my MySpace or my Facebook, like, this is awesome, check it out, or, this is awesome, check it out. I would share my journey. This book changed my life, or this course taught me this. I love doing this naturally. And I finally have realized, regardless of what other people think, what other people say, as long as I know I'm doing it from a very good place, and I'm very genuine about it, and I let myself be the guinea pig before I recommend something to someone else, that is when I make the biggest difference. And for you, it might be something else. You might be the next Elon Musk, and you're going to fix world hunger or any other big issues out in the world. Maybe you are going to create the next cool app, the next Facebook, the next Snapchat. I don't know what you guys are going to do, but I know every single person has a higher purpose. And it might be saving the world. It might be something much bigger than just making enough money to travel. So if you guys are enjoying where you are right now, do it. Don't let anyone tell you that it's not good enough or you're wasting your time. Just enjoy the crap out of where you are right now currently, no matter how much money you're earning or what, big changes you're making. Enjoy that. But as soon as you guys are unhappy at that current stage, instead of bitching, instead of being unhappy about it, instead of thinking there's no solution, level the fuck up. So thank you guys. I didn't want to talk too much about the actual business part or all that stuff, but I put my slides here at nomadsummit.com/2017 JFD, no, just FD, 2017 FD. not only do you get the slides, but I've actually put a resources page at the end with links to more about what I did at each stage in the journey, because I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, okay, like I'm currently here, I like the inspiration of getting to that next level, but I don't actually know what to do to get there. That's where I put everything in. There's no email opt-in, there's no paywall or anything, it's there because I want to be able to give back. So thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate it, and I would love to hug every single one of you guys, take a photo with you guys, so definitely come up to me after the end of the event. Thanks for coming.